choombas, and good afternoon. Thank you for checking out my YouTube channel. My name is TytheTrainer. In today's video, we're going to be covering a topic that is closely related to training: nutrition. My overall goal with this video is to kind of simplify the topic a little bit. Just because there is so much information on nutrition, I want to make sure that the majority of people can understand it and apply it to their everyday life. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, choombas. Before we get too far into the video though, I would just like to quickly show you my source for a lot of my information. So, I am a certified personal trainer through the American Council on Exercise, and they offered a course called the Fitness Nutrition Specialist. So, the textbook I pulled a lot of my info from is called the Sports Nutrition for Health Professionals. And if you guys like learning and, seeing all about training, nutrition, and everything related to the body, kinesiology, anatomy, all that fun stuff, I'll put a link in the description down below for the main website of American Council on Exercise. Okay, choombas, so the first topic I want to simplify in my nutrition video is our macronutrients. So I'm going to take a look at the carbohydrates, the proteins, and the fats, and see if I can make them a little bit easier for everybody to understand. So if I pull out my board here, and don't worry if you can't really see, I got some weird lighting going in my house, but I'm going to explain each point. So let's start with the carb. And I just want to say, as a personal trainer, a lot of the times I've heard my clients, and just people in general, demonize these things. Carbs are so bad for you, don't eat them. Get a new trainer if they make you eat carbs. At the end of the day, this is simply not true. So let's take a look at some of the positive things carbohydrates can do for our bodies. Okay, choombas, so the first thing carbohydrates do for us positively is they are our body's preferred source of energy. So everything we do in a day, training, moving around, all requires energy, and our body loves if they come from carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are also essential for many metabolic functions. Carbohydrates allow the body to use them as a primary fuel source, as I mentioned above, and this leads to protein sparing, which will allow protein to do its thing with muscle growth and other things that protein is responsible for, which we'll get to in a moment. Carbohydrates can help break down fat, which is fantastic if you're on a weight loss journey. There are a couple types of carbs. We have simple and complex, and basically they just have a different effect on your blood glucose levels, okay? And another very interesting thing about carbohydrates is the acceptable macronutrient distribution range, basically how many calories we should be getting from carbohydrates, is anywhere between 45 and 65%, which is a lot higher than most people think. But remember, they're our body's preferred energy source, so it makes sense. Alright, choombas. Now, this is a myth about carbohydrates that I would like to bury deep. So, I'm going to read a myth and misconception from my textbook here, and hopefully shed some light on this myth. So, the myth is carbohydrates are bad for your health and your waistline, making you thick. And if you eat too many, you're going to develop a higher risk of type 2 diabetes. The logic behind this is that digestion of carbohydrates to monosaccharides leads to a spike in your blood glucose. In response, the body releases more of the stress hormone insulin, and high insulin levels may lead to weight gain as well as type 2 diabetes. That's the logic behind the myth. Here's what the science says. Not all carbohydrates are created equal, although all carbohydrates do ultimately get broken down into glucose, depending on a carbohydrate's glycemic index, extent of processing, and other foods consumed at the same time. The blood glucose response varies. A growing body of research suggests that carbohydrates that have a lesser effect on blood glucose, such as low glycemic index carbohydrates, are better for overall health, including the risk of type 2 diabetes. In addition, when it comes to weight gain, the research has not confirmed that increased carbohydrate type or consumption leads to increased weight gain. So at the end of the day, carbohydrates do not make you thick. They fuel your body. At the end of the day, overall caloric consumption can lead to weight gain and type 2 diabetes. And basically what that means is if you're intaking more calories than you're burning throughout the day. So I really hope that clarifies that myth about carbohydrates. And one final cool fact about carbohydrates is 1 gram of carbohydrates equals 4 calories. Okay? So those are some of the positive things that you should think of when you're intaking carbohydrates. Keep in mind there are, you can get them from your vegetable sources, which are more fibrous carbs, and you can also get them from starchy carbs such as like grains and foods along those lines. Okay? All right, that's carbs out of the way. Let's jump into the protein. All right, choombas, now that carbohydrates are out of the way, let's take a look at the positive effects of protein. So, protein. They are composed of long chains of amino acids. Protein is responsible for forming major structural components of muscle, brain, the nervous system, blood, skin, and hair. So if you notice a degeneration of those in your body, you might be lacking protein. Protein serves as a transport for iron, vitamins, oxygen, etc. There are a total of 9 EAAs, or essential amino acids, which the body does not produce. And then you have the non-essential. So, generally speaking, most animal proteins or animal products contain all 9. And this is a complete protein. But when it comes to plant-based proteins, so say if you're vegetarian, a lot of those proteins are incomplete. Now, the benefit of this is, say you have 2 incomplete proteins throughout the day, boom, you're covered. You don't have to worry about it because those 2 put together, whether you eat them at the same time or one in the morning, one in the night, that completes the protein and you've got it for the day. The exception to this is in the plant-based realm. Soy, quinoa, chia seeds, buckwheat, hemp, and flax seeds are all complete proteins. So if you're intaking one of those as a vegetarian or a plant-based dieter, if you have those, you don't have to worry about intaking 2 different types of incomplete proteins because you can get your complete proteins from those things. So the acceptable macronutrient distribution range, or how many calories we should be getting from protein on a daily basis, is anywhere between 10 and 35% of our daily calories. So a common myth I hear about protein is you can never eat too much protein because anything beyond what you need, your body just excretes via urine. And so this isn't true. Protein suffers the same fate as carbohydrates and fats. If overconsumed and your body doesn't need them directly for energy, they won't be converted into glucose. They'll be converted into fat. And the last cool fact about protein to keep in mind is 1 gram of protein also equals 4 calories, okay? All right, so that covers protein. Let's jump in to the fats. All right, choombas, now that we covered the carbohydrates and the proteins, let's look at the last macronutrient that we can simplify, which is our fats, okay? So, fats, they provide a ready source of energy in times of deprivation. So for whatever reason, if you're out of carbohydrates and proteins, you would get your source of energy from the fats, okay? They're very important for insulation of our organs and our bones. They are a means of absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. So, they help process specific vitamins, which is awesome. There are a couple different types of fat, too. We start off with our monosaturated fats, which is found in most plant-based oils and are typically liquid at room temperature. And they can aid in lowering your bad cholesterol, the LDL. Then we have our polyunsaturated fats, which is important for optimal health because they are the healthiest fat. We got the omega-3s first, which are in the plant-based oils and cold water fish, and then omega-6s, which are in canola oil and the leafy green vegetables. And then at the bottom, you have your saturated fat. These are typically solid at room temperature. They're found in red meats and full-fat dairy products. And they can increase your bad cholesterol, your LDL. So if you're on a weight loss journey, sometimes it's the best to stay away from them. However, like I had mentioned before, and I will mention 1,000 times in the future, is if you're an active person, you can definitely include them, but they are technically the least healthy. The recommended daily calorie intake for our fats is 20 to 35% of our total calories, and less than 10% of that should come from saturated fats. And the most common myth I can hear with fat, or that I typically hear with fat as a personal trainer through my clients and other people is, Ty, if I eat fat, won't I get fat? And I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but at the end of the day, guys, it doesn't matter if your calories are coming from fats, carbohydrates, proteins. It is overall caloric consumption. So again, if you're intaking more than you're burning, that is what makes you fat, not the specific macros in our day-to-day diets. All right, choombas, now that we got the macronutrients out of the way, another thing I talk a lot about with my clients and people is supplements. So I've created a list from my textbook, and this is a table right out of the American College of Sports Medicine on a list of supplements that actually work for our bodies. And it was quite shocking when I took my nutrition course because, I used to rely on some of these. So, here we go. It's a pretty short list, hey? So we have creatine, caffeine, sports drinks and or bars. We have sodium bicarbonate, and then some protein powders and amino acid supplements that have enough data to show that they actually work within the human body. Other than that though, there's not enough data to suggest that other supplements do anything. So this could be anything from your athletic greens to your collagen powders. There's just not enough research to show that they do much for us. And choombas, remember this video isn't an in-depth guide on specific foods right now. This is just kind of simplifying all the nutrition principles that I can so we can apply them to our lives. So one last tip I want to give everybody is make sure you're getting enough of each food group. Your grains, your vegetables, your fruits, your dairies, if you eat animal-based products, your proteins, and your healthy oils. Once you can figure out how to incorporate those into your daily living, your nutrition will be so much easier to handle and you will be able to succeed a lot easier. All right, choombas, one last thing that I want to simplify in this nutrition video is how to lose weight effectively. So I often hear it, Ty, what's the best diet, or what are the best foods to lose weight, or XYZ, blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what kind of food you're intaking. Hopefully it's the healthier kind. But at the end of the day, it is calories in versus calories out. So you have to adjust to a lifestyle of eating that allows you to be in a constant calorie deficit. And that means if you want to lose weight, you have to burn more than you intake. Or if you're an individual like myself, you have to be in a calorie surplus because I'm trying to gain weight. So that means I have to eat more calories than I burn throughout the day. And if you're looking to kind of maintain, you can be in, I think it's called an energy balance, where you're intaking roughly the exact same amount of calories you're burning throughout the day. All right, my choombas, I'm going to wrap it up there for today's video. So I hope that helps cover some concepts and debunk some myths some myths about nutrition that you've heard, and that it helps you on your path to physical freedom via the kitchen. So if you guys have any further questions on anything I discussed today, please drop them in the comments or reach out to me, and I'll be happy to discuss that with you. So I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.